Hey, Gem Clusters. Welcome to the first episode of Primetime Crisis dealing with Steven Universe. And we are starting an all-new season. This is the first two episodes of Season 3. And since I reviewed the show on The Real Manos, I thought to switch things up a little bit, I'd talk to somebody about the show. And I brought on Steve Baxi. Hey.
Hello, everybody. I don't have my webcam, so you just got the audio.
Yeah, just imagine Steve sitting here. He's replacing my servo that normally sits here.
Take that, Tom Servo.
Yes. And, of course, the most two recent episodes were aired together as a two-parter. And they were, Super Watermelon Island and Gem Drill. And this fairly concludes, at least from what I can tell, the Gem Cluster story arc. And let's see. Do you want to go first, or?
Sure. I just wanted to mention that Cartoon Network's scheduling is ridiculous.
Yes.
And their season breakdowns are ridiculous because season 1 had 52 episodes, season 2 only has 26, and this is, from what I imagine, this feels like season 2 finale before it feels like season 3 opener.
Yeah. This definitely does have an end of season feel to it, which I thought was a bit unusual, actually. I can't recall ever seeing a season opening with finishing up the arc from the previous season. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that before.
Especially because the last episode of season 2 was log date 7/15/2. It wasn't a season finale or a cliffhanger. It was just a episode with Peridot.
Yeah, I generally consider that kind of an epilogue kind of episode. Yeah. But not an epilogue to the cluster story. It was an epilogue to if Peridot was going to betray them or not.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really like these episodes. I think they're really good. It's just a matter of, I can't imagine season 2 and season 3 separated now, and it feels odd to break them up this way.
That's true. Almost like Back to the Future 2 and 3. It's like
exactly.
they're so entwined with each other. Almost as if, that was the planned movie, was the first season, and now let's kind of continue on, with the other two. What we got going on is they're pretty sewn together two-parter, and matter of fact, one bleeds into the other. I thought was really well done, and we pick up a couple of things. I really didn't imagine Malachite running into the Steven Watermelon people. I thought that was an interesting combination, and the fact that he created this. He accidentally created this race of watermelon people in his image, and they have gone on to inhabit this island, Mask Island, and have kind of created their own society, which is interesting. They have their own procreation, and they seem to have their own kind of rules. And they, if you notice, they kind of, I don't know if I should say worship, or at least let's see, I guess...
idolize.
Idolize, thank you, idolize. The baby melon that sacrificed itself.
Yeah.
In the previous...
It's kind of a King Kong thing, right? Of this one melon sacrifice.
Oh my god. And they sacrifice a watermelon to Malachite, who, I guess she appears, sees something that looks like Steven, kills it, and goes on, and leaves them alone for a while. Because she so hates Steven. And I thought... We kind of got to see a new power with this episode of Steven, where he can sort of avatar himself into one of the Stevens, Watermelon Stevens.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever seen anything with Rose that leads us to believe that it's a similar power.
Yeah.
It's definitely newer, but I really like it. I like that whole idea of he's got almost a very personal connection to anything he touches or creates.
Yeah.
I don't know if he feels pain, if the melons feel pain. I kind of doubt it. But just the idea of he can go into them and communicate through them, and it's partly through sleep, which is something Steven does a lot of. His powers manifest in dreams.
Yeah. And it's very Matrix-like. It's a normal watermelon citizen, and they fall asleep and he takes over.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I have to say this. The first episode, Watermelon Steven, I think features probably my favorite fight.
Oh yeah, between Alexandrite and Malachite?
Yes. That was fantastic, actually.
That is such a classic, like, 90s mech anime monster movie kind of fight. It was fantastic.
It was very kaiju. Alexandrite does have kind of an Evangelion sort of design to her.
Yeah, you're right.
With that awesome mouth.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. And she talks out of both of them, just depending on the situation, almost like one's a battle face.
Yeah, like when she's angry, the lower mouth, like, opens up.
Yeah, it's great. It's a fantastic design. I'm glad we got to see Alexandrite again, because it's been a long time since she's shown up.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's something that you necessarily want to bring back. It felt like it was just a gag at first, but no, they used it.
Well, it was so funny. The first time we see her, it's kind of a sitcom plot.
Yeah.
This time we actually see what she does. And it's fantastic. I really loved seeing all the weapons utilized.
Yeah, it's really great to finally see all three gems, particularly after the last few episodes when their relationship with Rocky and they were kind of learning how to work together again and then throwing Peridot into the mix. It's good to see them as a well-oiled machine again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were definitely on point with this one. Let's see. Before we move on to the Gem Drill episode, is there anything else, any kind of observations you want to make about this one?
I just want to really quickly mention, I love that there's that one shot of Steven rallying all the watermelons, but instead of because there's a stereotypical dad with a tie, and then there's a stereotypical mother melon, and instead of the dad going off to fight, it's the mom.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that tie was just adorable. That he decided to make that.
And I turn those into toys. I really like the Watermelon Stevens. They look fantastic.
I agree, and I love that little twist. And she was right involved in the war too with Malachite, where she punches her in the eye and everything. And let's see. I guess maybe also we should make a quick mention to Jasper, who after Malachite breaks apart, they're able to save Lapis. Jasper falls into that crack. It's like, oh, hi, Jasper. Oh, goodbye, Jasper.
It was a pretty dark episode, but comedy heavy as well. I love how this show's able to manage both.
Yeah, and I loved, because both episodes were pretty dark and serious, the Watermelon Stevens, I definitely think, lighten the mood up. Much in the way, Jedi tries to use the Ewoks, actually.
Yeah, you're right. It is a very similar thing, although I think it's done better here.
Yes. a lot more satisfying than the Ewoks.
I'll just throw it out there, Watermelon Stevens are cuter than Ewoks.
Yes, they are. By far. Alright, I guess we'll start talking about Gem Drill, which is the second part of the two-part we saw last night. And, of course, that has to do with... because of the fight with Malachite, the gems were stuck on Mask Island, so they would not be able to get back in time to use the drill and stop the cluster. And for those who haven't been really up to speed on the cluster is this really obscene plot to destroy Earth by Homeworld, where they snatched up all the shattered, dead crystal gems that fought them, and buried them in the earth, kind of cooking them up into this cluster to turn into this giant monster that would destroy the earth, the very thing they were trying to save. And it's now time for it to emerge. So they've been using this drill to go kill it, and only Peridot and Steven are able to go do it. And I probably shouldn't have been so surprised of the resolution on this one. Because it's 100% in Steven's character.
It's one of those things I've seen lots of people online complain about, saying that it felt anticlimactic, that Steven could just befriend it. But you're right, I do think it's in his character, and I feel like it's consistent with the tone of the rest of this show. Yeah.
And I wondered that I have to be honest, I wondered that myself when I first saw it. But on repeat viewing, especially of the end, it 100% makes sense, and actually is more satisfying the more I watch it. Because all these, I'm assuming most of the gem shards were crystal gems that were trying to save the Earth, and he is able to communicate with them all at once and convince them to save Earth one more time. And I find that a kind of a moving answer to the problem. Now, I don't know if this is a temporary fix or a permanent fix. Because he convinces them all to bubble each other to prevent themselves from forming and becoming this monster. And it's quite moving when you think about it. It's almost like their one last chance to save the Earth, and also kind of join together and befriend each other. And death. I mean, it's really dark when you think about it. It's really dark and moving.
No, it's absolutely dark. It's also a really cool reversal of what we've been working on with the whole idea of all of the gems being a one collective society and they have no individuality, and then the crystal gems are the ones that break out and become that. But even so, they still need each other. They still need to befriend each other, and their identities form because of their relationships to each other. And all of these like scattered old gems were trying to find their own parts, but they kind of do the same crystal gem thing of working together to become who they are. And it is a sad ending, and I do think it's actually well-deserved. And I went back and watched the other episodes that introduced it clustered all the way up to this, and it feels like one long movie.
Yeah.
I think it really works in that way.
That's one of the things I like, especially if you binge watch this show, because, they're 10, 11-minute long episodes, so when you binge them, it does have that feel.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, this just goes back to what I said earlier of, like, it feels odd to start this as Season 3. It really does feel like the end of Season 2.
It is strange. I do wonder if they made some adjustments. Like, this was going to be the end of Season 2, and they decided, well, now let's pack up Season 3 with some episodes, so let's start it here.
Right.
But, I don't know. Cartoon Network fans of Steven Universe do complain about the scheduling, but to be honest, they kind of shuffled the scheduling for all their shows, really. Even, from their most popular to their least popular. And Steven is usually pretty high, up there as far as their more popular shows. And yeah, I guess, to be honest, I think they're trying. At least what I'm trying to interpret what Cartoon Network is trying to do with its shows is it doesn't want any of the individual shows to be a brand of themselves. It feels like they want all the shows together as a brand. Like, these are the Cartoon Network shows.
Yeah. No, they're trying to go back to what we had in, like, the late 90s of, like, there was Dexter and Ed, Edd n Eddy and Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack. And, like, everything that was Cartoon Network collectively, and they had all these promos with all the characters interacting, and they haven't had that for a good 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Ever since they made that switch to live-action game show things that no one liked.
Oh, my God, that was the worst. I remember that period, that dark period where Cartoon Network almost became MTV, where they're not the thing they're saying they're supposed to be. Like, there's no music on MTV, Music TV, and for a while there was no cartoons on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm so happy that failed. It must have failed because
it must have, yeah.
Yeah, and of course Adventure Time. I often attribute Cartoon Network saving itself because of Adventure Time, because that show succeeded.
Which is about to wrap up its 7th season, I think.
Wow, it's amazing. And I guess I'm not sure if I have anything else. How about you on Gem Drill?
No, I'm good. I enjoyed both episodes. I can't wait for next week. I'm glad that we're doing this as a 4-week event as opposed to doing like one every day, because I like sitting and digesting some of these episodes a little bit more because they're so compact.
Yeah, that's true. We have Lapis back with the Crystal Gems, so we'll get to see how she interacts with not only the Crystal Gems, who she wasn't totally cool with, but with Peridot, who she was much less cool with. Peridot was her jailer, essentially, and she was her prisoner. So there is that small leaked bit with Peridot trying to make amends and Lapis not giving a damn. I'm very, very curious to see how that episode comes up. I think the next couple episodes are going to be dealing with that.
Yeah, I'm excited. Next one's called Same Old World, so we'll see if it's more of like a Fallout episode.
Oh yeah. I hope now that we have two people who've seen modern day Homeworld, I'm kind of hoping they'll start talking a little bit more about what Homeworld is like.
Probably, I think you made this prediction at some point. I think the two big things we're going to get with this season is more interaction with Homeworld and figuring out what happened with Rose and everyone, and kind of like the sort of defeat of the rebellion and staying on Earth.
Yeah, I think that's definitely next. And of course, with the cluster seemingly taken care of, I assume the next immediate big threat is going to be Yellow Diamond, who is not going to be pleased. That
for sure.
This happened. Peridot stupidly could have said, "Hey, okay, yeah, I'll take care of that," but instead decided to get angry. So we'll see how what the next move Yellow Diamond has. All right, I think that's it for now, and let's see. We're going to be talking more. We are going to be using Primetime Crisis to discuss Steven Universe as well. And we'll be back next week talking about it. And I think that's it for now. Do you wanna tell Lindsay to push the button?
Yes. Lindsay, please push the button.